Guys, I'm really excited about today's video because we're going to be doing something that's really fun and really creative. And what I'm talking about is that I'm going to take this regular household object, in this case a potato peeler, and I'm going to attempt to turn it into architecture. Now, even though that sounds kind of silly, I'm actually going to take this very seriously. You see, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take some of the ideas and techniques that I learned at school and have developed throughout my career, and I'm going to use that during this exercise. So what that's gonna look like is, first, I'm gonna actually grab the potato peeler, I'm gonna study it, I'm gonna imagine what this would be like if it was architecture. Once I'm done with that step, I'll move over to my sketchbook, and there I'll develop and refine further a little bit of these ideas that I had when I was studying the potato peeler. Next, when I am done sketching, when I feel like I've gotten to a good spot, I'm gonna move over into my computer and start to model these ideas a little bit further. And finally, when we're done with that model, I'll go ahead and transfer it into another program that's gonna allow us to put people, vegetation, and materials and really get a feel for this thing and what it would look like. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the process. So the first thing we want to do before we move any further is to think about what kind of potential this potato peeler has as architecture. I like to start to imagine the relationship between this and its site. Is this going to be floating? Is it going to be at an angle, standing up, like this? What building is this going to be? What purpose? What we call that an architecture program. What program will this architecture serve, right? Is it going to be a museum? Is it going to be something really crazy? That's the great thing about our next step, which is going to be sketching, because some of the ideas that we think we have married at this point, you'll see is not the case. Once we start to sketch, we start to break away from some of these preconceived notions, as you would call it. So once I feel like I've generated some cool ideas, I like to transfer over to my sketchbook. And in this case, I'm not going to be using an actual sketchbook. I'm going to be using the Morpholio app, which I have a video on in case you're wondering what my overall thoughts are on it. Now, I find that what works for me is to not combine the thinking part, the meditating part, with the sketching part. It'll be very natural for you to want to sketch as you're coming up with ideas, but in my case, it really stops me from just exploring the idea in my mind. So first, I take my time thinking as much as possible. Then I move into sketching. I read this book one time called The War of Art, not The Art of War by Sun Tzu, but The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. It's a great book that everyone should read, and the reason I bring it up is because the narrator talks about how he doesn't concern himself with the quality of his writing when he is drafting. He just wants to get his ideas out of his head. And that's exactly how I see myself when I sketch. Now, I don't care if my sketches are bad or if my colors are off. I'm just disconnecting my intuition and allowing my subconscious to communicate through my hand with the help of my conscious thought. It's a really powerful experience, and the longer you spend on it, the more rewarding it'll be. Sometimes you'll hit a wall, but if you just wait a moment, ideas will start flowing again in no time. So you might even have to take a break. Now that we've spent some time sketching, I think we have enough information to start modeling some of these ideas out. All right, so as you can see here, I've pretty much filled up this whole canvas on my digital sketchbook, and we're ready to start modeling some of these ideas. It's really important. I used to do this a lot. I used to sketch a lot, and just when I got to modeling, I would have so many more ideas and I would kind of ignore my own sketches. So try not to do that. It's okay to have fun and draw ideas as you're going, but at least try to go back and sketch those ideas that you're having out. And now this is where the fun begins. Check this out. We're gonna loft it, and it could go horribly wrong, but this is part of the fun. So I'm gonna loft this, and let's see what we have once we do it. All right, ready, go. Nice, so check that out. So now we have the pedestal, the base. We still haven't modeled our structure yet. We have this vertical circulation, which could be a spiral staircase. It's 75 feet, so I don't know. That is not what we wanted. So that command is out of the question. All right, so I've been doing this for about a week now. First, let me show you what I have so far. And then after I do that, I'm gonna do a little trick to speed things up a little bit in making some of these design decisions. So as I said, this is what we have so far. That's essentially the potato peeler. So overall, the story is that you have this somewhat dynamic looking structure that then anchors this part of the structure here. And there's openings for views and whatnot, light can penetrate through and fill this space here. This part of the potato peeler is not cantilevered, it's actually held up by this very extreme structure which ties back to this point here. Now, is this structural? Not at all. I mean, it just looks cool. I wanted to do something that looked cool. This is a fun exercise after all. Maybe a structural engineer, a good one, could help me make a good argument for this. And so what I'm gonna do is that I've created a couple of shots, one from the top view and one from the right side. And what that's gonna allow me to do is that it's gonna allow me to imagine what the skin of this portion is gonna look like. And so I wanna create a skin now to control some of the lighting that's gonna be entering the space and to control some of the views. And of course, we're not going for form follows function here. As you can see, we're actually going for aesthetically pleasing. And so here we are back at the sketching app. And what I've done is that I've taken those snapshots that I took here and I imported them into my iPad. And so now what I can do is I can freehand over it. This is a good idea for you guys who are creating your own designs. Don't go from sketching to modeling and that's it. You want to have a good combination of back and forth between the sketching and the modeling and even the research. It's okay to go back and research even if you're at this level, because you could still undo some things. We're going to keep the top of it open. So this is going to be a channel that's going to serve as a skylight. So basically when you reach this level using the core and you're walking through the space, you have this visual connection of the sky as you're walking along. I kept that in this sketch and I also kept it on this sketch, is that I've turned that into like a 360 dome observatory. I added a little hole here at the front. That is for the waterfall that we're going to have coming out in the future. Somehow like the water is really dirty and polluted, and these are basically the buildings that are put on sites to help filter some of this polluted water out. And at the same time as it's treating it, it serves as like a museum where it can show other people, you know, what life was like before, why it got polluted, how the water is getting treated, and what can be done to prevent what happened in this universe from happening all over again. So again, that's just part of the fun. I'll let you guys come up with your own story down in the comments if you want to. All right, so now you can see with all these layers on that turned on all the other things that were floating around the area. Those were like parts that I used to create this overall model. So this is going to be kind of like a reflecting pond of some sort. Basically what you're getting is that you have this part at the top, which is going to be some sort of opening that extends all the way through. There's glass and there's like these mullions. That's what these red things are. It's like these mullions that hold the glass together. And then finally, this is the skin. What I went with the skin, I imagined some sort of metal and like housing that would provide these green things, which would be some sort of mesh material that would allow some sunlight to enter the space. So some natural light entering the space. This was supposed to be the skin at first, but it felt a little bit too plain, too boring. This one was pretty cool. It was way too crazy, and it was made from this module here. So I decided to do something more horizontal, and that's why I created this. And I was pretty happy with this at first. This was what I was gonna go with, which was created from this simple module here. I definitely could create something really interesting for a skin here, but I just didn't have time. And so I ended up making this, which comes from this module here. Let me see, am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything. Let me just take a sip from this prop cup in the meantime. Wait, like this. Ah, there we go. That was like the fakest sip I've ever taken. There. That's how I would really do it. But okay, I'm having way too much fun now. All right, so we are finally finished with the model. As far as I'm gonna take it, this is pretty much what it looks like. This is pretty much what it's gonna end up looking like. And now let's take it over to Twinmotion, where we're really gonna see what this thing looks like. Cool, so I've imported the model, and when I import it, it automatically comes with this generic material, which is like a concrete or something. I just wanna take a moment to appreciate like how this model is looking, all the details and whatnot. Like, look at that right there. That's very, very interesting. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, this is glass right now. It looks like a swimming pool. Again, I didn't have time to add openings or anything like that, but you can see that's also a very interesting space, and I accidentally went inside that upper area here, and that looked pretty cool. And then this is not supposed to be a pit where you fall to your death. I just never designed the interior. Remember, I wasn't working on the interior, just the exterior, but this is ultimately the room where the waterfall is gonna come from, and it falls into that spot down there. That doesn't look right. Looks kind of wrong, but it's what is this thing? It's a potato peeler, people. All right, so let's start adding material. Now, what type of glass we use, that is something that might change. For now, we're gonna do not completely mirrored. See, because like something like that looks pretty interesting. You know what? We'll leave it at that for now. Now it's time to add the waterfall. See, sometimes when you copy more, it makes like the stream heavier, which is cool. All right, that's the best waterfall that we're gonna get right now. Let's just add some people finally, because it's been way too long that you guys have no idea what size this is. Did you guys imagine that it was gonna be that big, this project? This guy just casually having his cup of coffee. Shame on this guy for being in this wonderful space and being on his phone. Shame on you. Yeah, there we go. We need a photographer here who can appreciate this beauty. Hopscotch, okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's add a little hopscotch game going on here. Right there. Far away from the water so that they're safe. Yeah, we'll have like a group class over here. That's cool. Perfect. This project is ADA accessible, so builders. No, we don't want builders. We're also going to want people here, even though we're not going to see them. But just in case, just in case if one of our shots picks up like this interior space, I highly doubt that's going to happen, but just in case, we'll put some people here. Maybe we should put a couple people just for fun, look at this project. This is not a serious project. We have to have fun with it. So why can't we have two people having a gentle discussion as they're just inches away from falling, from meeting their fate? We won't put anybody up here. No, we won't put anybody there. But why not? This spot is so cool here. Why can't we have some people in there? Oh yeah, we gotta add. Can people fit here? No. Wait, can they? No, they can't. But they could definitely fit here. How about that hopscotch game up here? No. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. All right, that's enough. That's enough. What about some stuff in the distance, like a hot air balloon or something? Do we have those aircrafts? Yes, we do. Beautiful. I was on one for the first time in my life a few days ago. It was an incredible experience. We got a giant jet. I don't even think he'll be in the shot, but that's okay. I do want to put a boat for sure. No, none of this stuff. All right, now let's kind of like work on the view here a little bit, because right now there's really nothing going on, right? So I was thinking that perhaps this is on the edge of a cliff or something. I like that condition. I like the condition of being on the edge of a cliff. So what the heck? Have I hit the bottom? Okay, so it can't be a cliff. We're not gonna be able to overlook anything, but this could be one giant lake. See, in here it's okay to add water. That is a cool but definitely wrong looking shot, but that is amazing right there. In my opinion, of course, no need to get angry if you disagree. And for those of you who are angry that I didn't add any access to this, like any way, there's no street, no way to approach this place. It's just there. How do people get here? Yeah, it's just something that I never did. And I don't know, I just didn't feel like doing it. Because I don't think that's important. That's not important at all. All right, so here is the part. I think up to now, everybody should be pretty happy. I think up to this point, everybody should be enjoying the process. Some people might be offended by the fact that I put these two people up here, but I'm guessing about 80 to 85% of people are enjoying the video up to this point. But here's where I'm gonna lose most of you. Why? Because when it comes time to add material to these models, I tend to get a little experimental sometimes. I don't know if I'm gonna get experimental. I've said that before in my older videos. In this specific video, I don't know if I'm gonna get experimental with these materials. I don't know if I'm gonna leave it the way that it is right now. Who knows? Okay, I don't want to use brick. I don't want to use, like most of you guys, probably envisioning a little bit of metal here. So some brushed aluminum, for example. You see all those polygons or those faces there? That's just bad modeling on my part. There's a lot of facets. The brushed aluminum, although it looks nice, it is a little too plain and too boring. So let's see if we do some Aluco Bond instead. All right, cool. So we're back here. It just crashed on me, but we're back at this Frankenstein. See, that doesn't look bad. That looks kind of interesting, but maybe it's the blue that's not right. You know, it's like, do you want to highlight the structure or do you want to highlight this that's going on? I don't know. I added this pattern to it. This is a pattern that just came with Twinmotion. I don't really like using patterns that I didn't create. I try always to do my own, but in this case, you know, I'm in a little bit of a rush and I don't want to be doing that. This is turning out to be a really nice project on the inside as well. You see, there are errors in the model. Like I said, the way that I modeled it just... All right, in my opinion, it's not super risky. I think it looks cool, but I just don't really appreciate the blue as much. Maybe blue is the problem. Like I said, some of you guys will be like, no, keep it. Some of you guys will be like, yes, change it. I hate it. Should I do purple again like that one time? I like the color purple so much. I mean, the color itself I hate, but in architecture, I think it looks really cool. What about something that's softer like that? That color's really nice. There we go. It has that shade of blue, but it's an elegant touch. It's not as crazy as it was before. All right, so this is where the fun starts. Now we're going to start to cover up some of those mistakes that we've made along the ways using some of these trees and other foliage around the project. And the idea here is that we're going to be placing trees everywhere as far as the eye can see, because when we do some of these shots that are out, you know, that capturing the whole entire project, we're going to start to see some of that background and it's going to look ugly. So we make sure that we combine different trees and put them together, just making this as realistic as possible, you know, adding bushes to the bottom of the trees to hide that spot where the tree meets the ground because it tends to look a little bit fake. We'll also go ahead and put some trees around the rim of the project just to hide this imperfection that's happening here with the site. I also like to add things like rocks and stones to the project, and I'll go ahead and I'll use the paint tool to paint the ground below it to make it more of a rocky surface, just to make it look more realistic and have a difference between the types of grounds that are present around the area. And now we'll go ahead and put that boat that I told you about that I wanted, and let's see, we'll just put it right there. That'll be fine. Let's see if they have any other type of boat. Nope, doesn't look like... I'm definitely not putting a yacht on a lake, but this will be fine, this inflatable boat. Now we need to put some animals on the site just to make it look realistic. You know, it's pretty wild on the outskirts of this project, so we can put some goats. In this case, we'll put Kate. Kate seems like a good family of goat to put. Yeah, that's realistic. See, they're happy. They're just eating. They're not bothering anybody. We'll go ahead and put some birds on the site. And of course, as you guessed it, we'll put some pigeons on the site as well. Yeah, we'll put some up here too and, you know, make them part of the architecture. No, not on that face, but on that one. I like to also go back and add texture to the water, make sure that the floor of the lake that we have here, it has some sort of texture to it so it looks realistic because it's not going to be completely flat in real life. You'll notice that out there in the back, I really didn't put enough trees and it looks a little bit empty. And so shots like these are going to make it difficult because I can't actually put trees everywhere. It's too time consuming and it's going to blow up my computer. So I'll probably fake it later on Photoshop, but I do have to add some trees to this part here. Now, of course, we need some people in this hot air balloon because it looks kind of empty. So we'll go ahead and add a couple experiencing the project from above. More trees here. More trees there, more trees everywhere. All right, guys, so now the moment that you've all been waiting for, the final project, the final video, here it is. So there you have it. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, wondering if a potato peeler could serve as architecture, well, here's your answer. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Did you hate it? Did you love it? What did you hate the most? What did you love the most? And once again, I'd like to thank Twinmotion for sponsoring this video and creating this super cool program that allows me to come up with all these crazy ideas that I have in my head. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you down in the comments. I actually heard that there's a rendering competition going on. So whatever this comes out to be, if it looks good enough, I'll see if I can take it into the rendering competition. I gotta do a little bit of research on that. But whatever the case may be, just look at my description, look at my pinned comment. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but if I find the information on that rendering competition, I'll let you guys know so you guys could enter and compete against me if I'm gonna be on it, or, you know, support me and my submission.